Robots Radio. Games, lore, stories, community. Just press play. This show is brought to you by our patrons at patreon.com/ElderScrollsLorecast.
Robots Radio presents The Elder Scrolls Lorecast.
Welcome to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, a place where the Elder Scrolls community can come together to discuss the boundaries of our knowledge about the universe of the Elder Scrolls. All right. Welcome back, everybody. I was going to call you Wastelanders, but I'm like, that's the wrong show. I can't call you.
Not right.
I can call you Adventurers. Welcome back, Adventurers. This is the Patron episode for January 2021, and we just had a big announcement drop for all the stuff coming this year. Gates of Oblivion, Blackwood, all sorts of fun things. And so that's what we'll be talking about today. I am your host, Tom or Robots, and I'm here as usual with my co-host, Lotus of Doom. How's it going, Lotus?
Hello. I am doing well. I am definitely doing well after all of the reveals from Tuesday, because good Lord, that was like an information overload.
Yeah. There was, it was like a long, the first, I don't even know how to parse it. The first section was like almost an hour, and then they went on for like almost 2 hours after that. And other stuff.
Yeah, it was
with interviews. Yeah. And I missed
so much cool stuff.
Yeah, I missed not being able to do this. Last year, we were both in Vegas for this reveal, and that was a lot of fun. Actually getting to be there and meet everybody and see them get up on stage and talk to everyone. It was a blast. But, I'm glad that they still did something, even more involved this year. It just wasn't a live setting, but it was definitely fun to watch.
Right.
But we'll be digging into all that stuff. And this week we have Kung Fu Kangaroo with us, one of our patrons. Kung Fu, how's it going?
Between the whole slew of awesome news that just came into the Elder Scrolls world and some other things in my life, I'm just doing fantastic, Tom.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you've been trading Dogecoin, as we talked about in the pre-show. And I've been failing at finding places that I can buy it that I can sign up for before the show starts. So we'll get to that later, or I'll get to that later after the show. Who knows? Maybe I'll bring you along for the ride, audience. Anyway, welcome back to the show. And we might have other patrons popping in here. It seems to have been a little bit quiet in the Discord talking about the show this week. So maybe other people are busy trading Dogecoin also. I don't know. But I'm glad Kung Fu was able to join us. And so, guys, why don't we dig right into this? I would love to hear. I've got my own thoughts, first impressions. Lotus, I know you've been talking with some of your other co-hosts on Tales of Tamriel about
for sure,
the things that you guys are going to be discussing. So why don't we kick it off with Kung Fu Kangaroo? Because I think it would be very interesting to get your perspective to kind of kick us off. Just in general, how did you feel about the whole event, and what are you most excited for?
So, as I may have mentioned before in previous episodes, I was primarily interested in the Elder Scrolls games that were single player. But within the past month and over the holiday break, I've been getting so into ESO. And I finally have a character that's champion level at champion level 157.
Oh my God, you're 3 away from 160.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're already almost CP cap.
I know.
I've been playing a lot.
So yeah, I've been playing a lot, thanks to my girlfriend, who I think is watching this right now. But so she's like way higher level than me. She's like, way beyond where I am skill level 2. But I'm psyched about it because it means, of course, more content, and not just more content, but it kind of like when I was watching the announcement, I was flooded with nostalgia. For anyone that was around when Oblivion came out, Test 4, I think it was 2006, right? Or
Yep.
2006. Yeah.
Yep, you're right.
When that came out for the Xbox 360, that was like a big deal. And I poured my heart and soul into that game. I think back then I had like 400 hours onto the game after I got it.
Wow.
Which, that was a lot. And so I think I'm just psyched to revisit a lot of the themes I mentioned in the chat when we were covering the announcement and all that jazz. I mentioned that I was psyched for the textures of the armors and the weapons, and
the Iliad runes. Getting back into some of that
they
stuff.
They mentioned it too. The Argonian / Daedric, like Mehrunes Dagon themed outfits got me like so psyched. And I've always been a gear guy. I've always loved the weapons, the armor, things like that. So I think that might be what I'm most excited for. And of course, companions is going to change everything.
Mm-hmm. That is like a strong single player, like friendly thing that I think a lot of people are really going to like.
Yeah, it's that came out of left field. So for those of you who didn't see the big announcement, we got a lot of things that are pretty typical for these. They're kind of set a certain pace for these kinds of announcements, right? They're like, oh, we're going to have a year of content, and the year of content's going to kick off with some new dungeons, and then we're going to have the adventure that releases in June, and then we're going to have some more dungeons, and then we're going to have the end of the adventure with a DLC that shows up at the end of the year. And they kind of go through this rhythm, right? There's this pattern, and you get a new zone or a new zone plus kind of an interesting area to go to. So, for example, Somerset was in Somerset, but then you went to these other places during that adventure, and I won't ruin it for anyone, that goes beyond just Somerset. And then for example, the one that just came out, the whole Dark Heart of Skyrim, you go to places in Skyrim, but then you get to visit other locations deep underground that were never visited in the original Skyrim adventure because, Blackreach is way bigger than we thought it was. So you get kind of this alternate area to go to. This time we're getting Southern Cyrodiil / Northern Argonia areas, right? So going back to like Leowyn, which is one of the cities that you visit in the TES4. But then, of course, we get to also go back to the Badlands because we're going to go through these portals and have to deal with Mehrunes Dagon and all the stuff going on there. So it's got some of that stuff. So a lot of that was fairly expected, right? We talked about that on some previous episodes. It seems like it's probably going to be in Southern Cyrodiil. Looks like it's going to be these kinds of places. Looks like we'll be going to the Deadlands. But then they come out of the left field with things like, oh, and by the way, there's a new companion system. You can have one of 2 companions very soon that you can take on your adventures with you and equip them and give them stats, I guess. Did they mention stats? That was one of the things.
I believe they level up with you, and I think you can gear them out, from my understanding as well. So that's it's literally like bringing in the companion system from Elder Scrolls single player games like Oblivion or Morrowind or
Lydia's going to carry your burdens, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And so, of course, that opens up all sorts of different variations on gameplay and the way you can build out your character / characters in order to have maybe a companion that tanks for you, so you can stay back further and do some range damage. All sorts of variations on that. Plus, it opens up the potential for storylines that include your companion and maybe even romance in the future and those kinds of things. Like that could be part of what comes into the game. What do you think about all that stuff, Kung Fu? Like, what are your thoughts about companions? Where do you think that might go, and what are you looking forward to?
So anyone who knows me knows like I'm a big fan of role playing within the single player test games. So the companions now add like this extra layer of appeal to the game for me, because I love playing with my girlfriend, but sometimes she's not available, or sometimes she's at work. And I want to play ESO, but I also would rather play something else, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to change the way that I play it, because although it's an NPC, it's going to add that layer of interactability, if that makes sense. Yeah. And so I always love decking my companions out in Skyrim with the gear that I want them to wear, whether that be a set of armor that I find to be totally BAMF, or like a completely silly outfit that just looks hilarious. So the companions, I'm pretty psyched for. I think it's going to result in me playing the game a lot more, similar to in Dark Heart of Skyrim, the antiquity system. I love that. Mm-hmm. I love that addition, and This is going to be a really obscure reference, but the antiquity system reminded me of Can You Be a Dinosaur Finder? If you guys remember that, like, really old school PC game.
I don't know that. Can you be a dinosaur finder?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I know this.
Oh yeah. That was like one of those educational games that you play, when you're like 10, 12 years old, maybe.
I had a game called Spellosaurus when I was a kid, and it was like dinosaurs that would teach you how to spell. that was a thing. I think there were like 4 colors on my old IBM, like 8086 system. Well, cool. Lotus, do you have any other thoughts on companions?
So I'm going to be like sort of the odd man out. I am very glad people are getting companions, but this is not something I'll probably ever use beyond just like unlocking them, because I can't imagine I'm allowed to bring them into trials or anything that I could use to abuse the system.
Yeah, that was
me if I was allowed to do that.
That was my question was like, can you bring them into dungeons with you? How would that work? And if everyone has the same companions, are you going to see multiple of the same companions all running around? How does that work?
Also, that would probably, trials are already a bit of a struggle on the system. So you add 12 people and then 12 companions and rip the server, because like as is, you generally, it's proper etiquette to put away your non-combat pets and your bankers and everything when you're in trials as is. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine active combat AI also being added to that equation. It would be, I would assume, a living nightmare. Plus, it would cause a lot of balance changes. So, I'll definitely mess around with it. But since I'm not so much to be fair, I'll probably have one of them follow me around when I do questing, because it's like,
sure.
Okay, whatever. Like, I'm a tank. I don't kill stuff super quick anyways, so I throw on some different gear to quest so it doesn't take me a month.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, then fine. We can have 2 of us and it goes even quicker. Like, but no, I'm even though it's not necessarily for me specifically, it's something that I'm well aware that people have really, really wanted. And it will add a lot for people who enjoy that aspect of the game. Because to be fair, I don't use them in the single player games either, unless it's like sacrifice somebody to get so-and-so to like do this. It's like, oh yeah, hold on, let me just go hire somebody real quick. So
yeah. Well, I like companions. I like having companions with you. I think that's a fun extra dimension to add to it. I'm also interested to see, like, if you have a really well built out character as it is, you can kind of solo public dungeons and stuff anyway, right? Will this make tearing through that content even faster? Like, is this one of those things that like adds to the ability to level a second character, because you can throw in a companion and, now you're doing, I don't know.
It'll be great for alts too when you're getting started and you don't have all your stuff set up. If you just want to burn through, it's like, okay, cool. I'm super flaky. Fine. Then I want a tank. Like, I'm going to make you into a little tank and you're going to distract stuff while I poke at it or whatever.
Right.
Probably a good way to test out builds too. It's like, this isn't super durable, but how much can I produce with it? Well, you have that little dude take care of everything, and then boom, you're all set. So definitely a lot of practical uses. I'm glad it's there for people, even if it's one of those things where just like overall, this is just a sentiment in general, just because something doesn't apply directly to you, you don't need to be upset other people enjoy it, which is something I noticed with a lot of this stuff, where it's like, I don't immediately like this. This wasn't designed for me. I hate it. It's like, well, that's incredibly childish. So it's like, maybe just let other people enjoy things, because the game has a lot of avenues. So
yeah.
Just
be happy that other people are happy. Okay. It's fine. It's totally fine. I wonder, though, if that means that they, with companions, if they're going to increase the average difficulty of certain areas, because the game is relatively easy. Even starting a brand new character from scratch, it's not the hardest thing to adventure around the world.
Questing is supposed to be pretty chill.
Yeah.
And it really is with Overland. And you don't even need much coordination for the world events or public dungeons or world bosses.
Right.
If people just blunder in as a group, that's usually enough.
It's usually enough. Well, that makes me wonder, though, like, does that open up potential for zones that aren't necessarily world bosses, but are maybe labeled as more dangerous because they're more densely populated, or the enemies in that area are a little bit like raised in difficulty compared to the average enemy you come across.
So that could be, that would be kind of delving back for any very old school players to kind of their idea that they did with Craglorn back in the day before One Tamriel hit.
Yeah.
It was known as an adventure zone, and it was designed around you being in a group of 4 people or more. More often than not 4 people. So a lot of, like, compared to the other stuff in the zones, it was much more ratcheted up in that area. That kind of fell off with One Tamriel because they they evened all of zones difficulty out.
Right.
There were a couple things in that zone which I liked the difficulty in there. That was fine. I did have a bit of an issue with one of their forced mechanics to make it a group thing where it wasn't. We figured out how to do it with 2 of us instead of 4 of us with minimal effort back before it was changed. But we got to this door puzzle and you needed 4 people to stand on these platforms. So I was like, that's an incredibly cheap way of making this a 4-player content thing. And they've since like removed stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would want that, but I think it might be cool to have
the difficulty.
Yeah, like this area is dangerous, so you might want to bring a friend or make sure you're giving your companion some good gear.
Sure.
And I'm not saying like an enemy should be 400% more difficult to kill or something, but raise the difficulty up a good 30%. Just like in any of these other games where. There comes a point where you fight a bear and you're like, oh, the bear's not hard anymore. Bears used to scare me. They're not hard. But that troll's going to be giving me problems. There's that kind of thing. And I feel like this is just, Elder Scrolls Online does a lot of good stuff. I feel like this is just one of those things where it's like, you can kind of run up to any monster by itself. And as long as it's not a world boss and just kind of fight it and you're fine. It doesn't really require anything. So just a little bit of like, hey, you're going to be a little more careful here. Now, obviously, this is all speculation. So, we'll cut this part where we're at now because we don't know a whole lot about that. But or if that's even going to be a thing. It's just one of those things that I'm just kind of like, maybe this could be a thing with a companion, because now you've got a very convenient way to make sure that your survivability and your damage is increased compared to the level that you're at, if that makes sense, while you're leveling. So let's see. Let's talk about some of these other things that have popped up. We know that we're going back to southern Cyrodiil, to this Blackwood area, which includes the city of Leowyn and some of that zone, and then down into some of the more murky Argonian areas. Are you guys interested in that? You're saying, Kung Fu, that this was giving you, I don't know, what's the right word? Flashbacks or good feelings from the old content. What do you think? Yeah,
it is. And I think in relation to that, in relation to the flashbacks and the nostalgia.
Nostalgia, that was the word.
I think I say that because of the Oblivion portal events.
That was the next question I was going to ask. Yeah, Oblivion portal. So does that, how do you feel about that?
Oh, psyched. I just started playing the Elsewhere DLC, so I just fought my first dragon the other day, and my girlfriend and I, after we did that, we looked at each other, we're like, that was dope. That was so cool. So I'm hoping that the sense of reward, the total flood of dopamine, is similar after completing an Oblivion portal. I'm also, so I've never made an Argonian in a game before. I know that's that must be complete blasphemy to some.
No. A lot of people, I think a lot of people don't make Argonians. I think that's probably fairly common.
They're like a cult favorite. I don't know what it is. Lehman Tuttle, the lore master, loves Argonians.
I love Argonians. I think Argonians are great. I don't know that they're useful for min-maxing things in ESO so much as some of the other races.
They're real good healers.
I don't play healer, so that's why I don't.
Yeah, but I have an Argonian healer that I messed around with. What was heals for profit or whatever, and I just always threatened to not heal people if they didn't pay me.
It's in my name. I can't go against it.
And then my Skyrim character is actually the one that I have on PS4 is is an Argonian, just because in the single player games I love their passive of being able to breathe underwater. It's so great. And it's pretty good on ESO because you get the benefit of being able to swim super fast, which sounds weird until you deal with water, and then you realize how great it is.
Oh, yeah.
They also make pretty good tanks. That's what I've been doing on PC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my main was an Argonian, and I turned it into a Khajiit. Because I was like,
okay.
That's why I have a Khajiit named Arnie, because he was Arnie the Argonian.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense in context.
So yeah, but yeah, I wanted to go. I guess this was a few years ago when I was diving back in, and all the Dark Brotherhood stuff had come out, and that character was a Nightblade already, and I was like, okay, the sneak benefits of the Khajiit, like I have to go that route, so I paid to switch it over. But I like Argonians, especially the way they look. I mean, they've got a cool culture, all of that stuff. They're, obviously we know that they pushed back the Oblivion assault 800 years after the events of what's going on here in Elder Scrolls Online. So I have a feeling they're going to have a strong response. But in this storyline, we've learned that there is a cult of Argonians that are pro Mehrunes Dagon. They're like Mehrunes Dagon worshippers. How do you guys feel about that?
That is very out there, but I like it. I'm all for more Black Marsh personally. So like, I thought Murkmire was woefully underrated. That expansion was like way better than it got credit for. Mm-hmm. So I am all about more regions we haven't seen. Some people love the characters and stuff. I'm much more about the regions. So this is not really someplace you've seen too much. They made reference to, I forget the name of the city, but the last time anybody had seen it, it was in Arena.
Yeah. What's the name of the city?
I'd like to see it when it's a unique city instead of what it looked like in Arena.
Sure.
But sure. This to me, I love this stuff. Daedric Incursion and new area, perfect. Exactly what I want out of this.
Yeah. So talking about portals, going back to the Deadlands. Deadlands. Okay. My brain went just like, wait a minute. Was that right? Back to the Deadlands. We saw some of the imagery from that. And of course it's, magma and glowing red, and there's Daedric monsters running around. Did you guys notice the giant Mehrunes Dagon walking around in the freaking world?
Yes. I did, and I pray that it's not just cosmetic.
Me too. That would be so awesome.
It would be so cool to be able to interact or have to steer clear. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even if it's just cosmetic, but it's there while you're adventuring, they do have a precedent for that in one of the dungeons of March of Sacrifices. Hircine actually covers the moon, and he's rising over the cliffs. Mm-hmm. So while you're doing the dungeon, if you ever look up at the moon, you can see Hircine looming over you, watching you, because it's his trial to see if you'll survive.
Oh, it's so good. I love when the Daedra show up and aren't just like inhabiting a mortal and they look mortal size. Like when they show up in their own forms and they're like towering over, even if they're just like twice the size of a regular character, it just gives you this sense of like, yeah, you guys, we're not supposed to mess with you, are we?
Also, on a really odd side note, there's a great glitch with that where for whatever reason, since his model is there, for some reason or another, you can actually get it to the point where you can find him and it miniaturizes him. And then you can take your picture with a little baby mini Hircine who's not supposed to be there, but he looks great. He kind of looks like a stuffed animal because he's about the size of your shin.
That's awesome. A little baby guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, they should sell little plushies on the store that you could put in your house.
If I could get a plushie Hermaeus Mora, my life would be complete.
Like, what if they had little plushies you could put in your house and like
I could just toss it to my dog? Like Hermaeus Mora would make a perfect googly-eyed stuffed animal ball.
Oh, so good, so good. You can make little cute Daedric princes for everybody, but then you could also put them in game, and you could put them in your game house. You know, you can have like a whole little bedroom scene where you have all the little plushies on your bed.
$1 million idea right there.
Yep. If you're listening out there, I got $1 million ideas. Well, I stole the idea. I stole the idea from Bethesda because they have the little plushies in Fallout 76.
They have the mini Cadwell and stuff.
They've got the little plush. There's like a pack of them that were on sale last week, which have like these little guys. There's a new one coming out where it's like a little super mutant with a big old hammer, but he's like stuffed little guy. He's pretty cute. Anyway, back to Elder Scrolls Online. So my thoughts on the walking around Mehrunes Dagon is that he will be like an environmental hazard, and you could end up like underneath his feet. But I don't think you can, like, if you were to attack him, maybe he's like, ugh, and he goes to step on you, but then he keeps walking around like, ants, like he doesn't really care that much. That would be my expectation, I guess. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm not an engineer, and I'm not a developer, but I would imagine that it is incredibly difficult to program all the possible combat scenarios with a massive Mehrunes.
Yeah, I don't imagine that in that scene where he's just walking around, you can actually take him on and potentially beat him. I would guess that that's probably out of the equation, right?
That would be a pretty interesting twist to trying to design the game, I would imagine.
Yeah. Like, I don't think that works very well for story reasons,
No, well, especially if I went in with like a raid team and we all just like nuke him because like there's so many of us. I feel like that would put a kink in the storyline a bit.
Yeah, I don't see that being a thing. I don't know.
I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Yeah. So what other things have stood out from this release? Obviously, there's some more dungeons and trials. There's have you guys seen some of the leaked images of some of the things coming in the crown crates? This they did I haven't. ESO Model Viewer website. The people who run that, whenever there's a new patch, they data mine it and they show some of the leaks. I have a video up on the Robots Radio YouTube where I go through all the different images. And man, every time they release a new pack full of stuff, the designs just like they kick it up another notch. This stuff is amazing. There's stuff like there's a lot of Alien things like that you can put in your home, like a gate or a well, those kinds of things. So you can make like an alien structure in your house. But then there's also like glowing alien runes that you can put on your body. Like some of the skins have like alien textures and things. Then there's a weapon pack that's like alien weapons. The sword looks really, really cool. It's like a variation on kind of an elven style, but it's a little bit more alien. Okay. There are some new mounts. They've got the Welwa. They announced the Welwa as the new rideable mount type. And that's like the four-eyed Daedric beast that looks like kind of like a lizard bulldog. I don't know. What's the best way to... You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, lizard bulldog's actually pretty on brand. It's a common enemy you'll find in that Craglorn area that I had mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty common, like, just random creature that's floating around. Or they put them in armor and they're controlled by a lot of the goblins in the area and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're like tough looking dudes. Like they've got these broad chests with the big muscly legs, and they've got the kind of the short snout, but they're kind of scaly.
Yep, you actually get a free one if you pre-order the game before the 9th, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. Something like that, perhaps. But yeah, I was going to say they're already running around in game because it's given to you immediately. So like.
Yeah, and there's some variations.
Version of one.
Yeah, there's some variations on that in the pack. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the rideable mounts, Kung Fu? Being that you're kind of new to the game, do you have like a preference of which type you like?
So maybe this is a common sentiment among people who are new to the game, but like I'm all about mounts. So
yeah, I think they're awesome.
I want there to be the greatest variety possible. I want like winged mounts that I can fly places, even though from a development point of view, I don't think
they're ever going to do flying mounts. That seems to be the messaging is like, yeah, this isn't World of Warcraft. We're not going to do flying mounts.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it would be cool.
But if I could get like a giant adder as a mount, that'd be cool. Mm-hmm. Or man, what are the like Medusa snake ladies called? Like, I can't even remember their names.
Oh god, Lamias.
Look, you're not even that far off base. I learned in Elder Scrolls 1 Arena, they're not called Lamias, they're just called Medusas. So you're not even wrong.
There we go.
I don't know that they would want you riding around on them, though. I can't imagine that.
If I could make like every creature in the Elder Scrolls a mount, I'd do it.
Come here, little wood elf. I'm going to ride around on your shoulders. Let's go. Yeah. So anyway, lots of cool stuff coming in the Crown Crates. If you want to see more about that, check out the video on our YouTube channel. So let's go into the storyline bit. Like, what did you guys think? Well, first of all, the video reveal that we saw previously was awesome, right? But then they took it a step further, and they actually have like what happens with those characters, and you have a scene where there's what looks like Imperial woman being dragged to this group of Mehrunes Dagon worshippers who are, of course, going to sacrifice her or something. And then you have our elven hero lady. What's her name? I always forget her name.
Sharp Arrow?
Yes. I'm so bad with names, but you're good with names.
I usually am. I don't know why, for some reason, I happen to just be useful on this show.
No, you're great. This is why we're a good pair, because I don't remember the names. So she shows up with her Argonian friend that we saw from the previous video, and they, of course, attack, and they help this woman get free. And we see her face, and it's a character we've never seen before, and we come to learn that she is representative of the player character, which is interesting, because have they done that before?
So it's weird because they always have like a touch of, are you the Nordic hero? Are you the Eldmiri hero?
Right. And maybe those have been the stand-ins, and this is a new character that's Imperial that's a stand-in.
So I was discussing this with Bob Jaczynski on Twitter. I actually thought she made me think of, speaking of names that I'm not going to remember, Avel, I forget her exact name, but she was the character from the Dragon Guard in Southern Elsewhere that you meet. I actually thought it was her. It doesn't look exactly like her, but it's definitely got vibes that could be her. Again, not sure it's her, because they obviously don't just say it's her. But I don't know. That's when I saw it. That's who I thought it was. So whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But that was the impression I got.
Right. Yeah. I don't know enough. Again, characters, names, and things. Not my strong point. Speaking of not my strong point, the Daedric woman shows back up. The Lyrinth. Yeah. Evely is the elf. Lyrinth.
Yeah. Evely's Lyrinth is the one who sent out the letters and the coins for the promo.
That's right. And she was on previous sections of the game. We talked about her in the past.
Yep, she's been in the Imperial City Prison Dungeon. She's been in Cold Harbor. You bump into her quite a few times.
Right. And this, I was doing a watch show live, streaming this with the community. A lot of you guys jumped in, watched this live, and Lotus was there as well. And then there's a scene where she pulls her hood off, and she's hidden among the worshippers, right? And like, I had this moment of like, whoa, yeah, yes. Awesome Daedric lady with badass looking red eyes. She's one of the good guys on this one again, or at least one of the ones who's helping you out, whether her intentions are understood or not. Right. But she's doing cool stuff. She's kicking Mehrunes Dagon worshippers' butts. Yes, let's do it. So I was excited about that, because I love. So a lot of people really love the Dwemer and the mystery of that. And I think that's great, but we don't have any Dwemer to interact with. We just have the remains, right? And we have very little in new information about their story and what's going on. But the Dremora are actively in the world. They're actively doing stuff. They live in these realms of oblivion, and they reincarnate after death. They're very interesting. They have their own cultures, and we don't know a whole lot about them because they seem alien to us. So to have a character in this that represents that some more and gives us more insight into that kind of world, I think is really, really cool. What do you think about that, Kung Fu? How do you feel about these Dremora?
I'm glad that you brought that up, because I wanted to talk about the alien theme of the whole expansion set, I guess you could call it. But kind of tying in what Lotus had said before about there being a new world space and him being excited about a new environment. I'm also really excited about that because as people who have listened to episodes with me on them before know, I love Morrowind. And one of the reasons that I love it was because it was very alien. It wasn't just, Western Europe.
Yeah, right.
So,
or Northern Europe.
I'm excited about having, a Dremora who is, I don't want to say humanized, but
Characterized.
Characterized.
Yeah, characterized is a good way to put it. It's like with the books. They're not humanized. They're actually super weird, but at the same time, they actually have characters other than like mindless husks you're attacking.
Right. They're not static enemies anymore.
Yeah, they have personalities and individual agendas and feelings about things and reasons for doing things. Yeah, characters.
So I'm excited about that, as well as the new, hopefully heavily, Argonian era, even if it is, in southern Cyrodiil.
Yeah, I think all of that stuff is very, very cool. Let's see. Do you guys have any thoughts about how the storyline will progress? Obviously, we've been told a lot about, Mehrunes Dagon is the focus of the whole thing. Lehman Tuttle very specifically said that, like, he is the focus. Everything happening this year is based around him and the threat that he poses to Nirn, not just Tamriel, but Nirn all together. So it's one of those like end of the world scenarios, but he's not as practiced in this as he is come TES4. This is kind of like his like trial effort, maybe.
Well, one thing that is very cool about this is if you go back to one of our episodes, actually not that far back, where we discussed the Longhouse Emperors, this is actually basically implying that they invoked Mehrunes Dagon to gain the power to seize control. And now, as a result, he probably doesn't care specifically who he has to get it back from, but it's like, okay, you owe me.
There's a debt.
You're residents of Nirn. So I'm here to collect the debt. So very cool tie-in, completely unintentional since we didn't know this was coming, obviously.
Right.
But I'm going to actually double down like a lunatic on the fact that on my other show that I'm part of, Tales of Tamriel, we went on a needlessly long, convoluted Daedric plot plan where it's actually not Dagon that's going to be the focus. It's going to be Meridia, which has been hinted at for basically since Endgame that she's not all she seems. With the amount of times they said this is all about Dagon, I would love it if out of left field it was not all about Dagon, because that's how they misdirect you.
Right. They're like, remember when we said it was all about Dagon? Oops.
Yes, and without directly spoiling other chapters, Somerset was not all it was cracked up to be. And it was marketed very different than what actually happened in Somerset. I don't want to go overly spoilery on it. I mean, Somerset is 3 years old at this point, but just
even the Dark Heart of Skyrim, like the actual fundamental things going on underneath it all are more detailed and complex than we originally thought.
So like the best way I could put it is the big bad of, I won't like give it away, but the big bad of Somerset, we got a statue about, oh shoot, what's her name? From the Spiral Skyne. Oh God, why? It's talking about good with names and I'm going to whiff on this one. Mafala, yeah. So we even got a statue about Mafala prepping for it. And there's a Mafala cult. She is not the big bad of that expansion in the end. It's a total misdirection. So, I mean, she's involved with the story. Right. But it was like, nothing would make me believe that the enemies that we ended up with in Somerset were what we got from the build-up to Somerset. So it's like, I would still they do such a great job with twists when they double down on them. So I'd really love them to do that for this. But even still, Mehrunes Dagon's a pretty cool enemy. So yeah, no huge issue if he actually is the threat.
Yeah, I mean, he's a significant thing to deal with.
Yeah,
like he's definitely a big bad.
It's a little intimidating.
Yeah, Kung Fu, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I could be totally off, and in fact, I usually am. I think a pretty critical, like if we're trying to decipher how this might all end, then I think a critical concept, which I don't want to get too far into because it's the Elder Scrolls, but a critical concept for the entire coming year of content, I think it is a full year, is time. Like, how much time is passing when you're in the Deadlands? Like, so how long is Dagon around to be a threat? because I had thought like that I had remembered correctly. So I Googled it really quickly just now. And as many of us know, Dagon is supposed to be like the lord of revolutions, right? Of overthrowing rightful power. And since this happens in the second era, a couple thoughts came to mind. One of which was, well, Tiber Septim, of course, when he unifies Tamriel, that's the end of the second era.
Right.
Technically, that would be a change of hands and power, right? What if somehow they have looped in the ending of when Dagon is in this DLC? What if somehow his fall allows Tiber Septim to come about? It's a stretch. It's a really big stretch. But other thought that I had was, and I looked it up, well, Dagoth Ur reawakens around the end of the second era too, specifically 882 second era. And so he and his Ash buddies reawaken right then. And of course, if you think about it, if anyone here has played Morrowind, not the ESO DLC, but the standalone game, then hearing Ur talk about wanting to overthrow the Poser Tribunal and wanting to kick out the Empire from Morrowind and then eventually take all of Tamriel from the Empire, kind of sounds like something that Dagon might be a part of, or at least if Dagon heard about it, he might want to, get in on it. So I don't know. There's a couple things that happen, right around this end of the second era that I would just be so psyched to watch the end of this story set something up for that. If they could weave that into there, like weave the end of one story into the beginning of another that was written before this, that would be really cool in my perspective.
Yeah, so that opens up some other ideas because this game is, what are we at, 6 years old now?
In a world where solid-state electronics and vacuum tubes are still meta, people never stop loving atomic-powered everything. A chosen 500 stepped inside a subterranean vault to be spared the nuclear horror of the inevitable Great War. 25 years later, they emerge after the fallout settles to retake Appalachia. Among them, two former rivals whose blood feud will tear West Virginia apart in their epic struggle for survival. Chad, a Vault Bro who has a strength of 15, an intelligence of 2, and is a complete wasteland dickhead. Simon, a complicated anti-hero who chooses light and hope, but accidentally becomes a cannibal and wakes up naked and afraid with a Scorch Beast Queen after a date goes terribly wrong. What? I mean, it's a wild wasteland, right? This dark humor radio drama will have you driving off the road and crawling out from under the fallout. 2 men, 1 wasteland, and so many nukes. Chad, a Fallout 76 podcast, rated R, now streaming on your holotape player podcasty thing.
Is that the official?
Yes, I believe it's 6
years.
6 years old. Yeah.
So if and this is kind of taking,
I guess it's going into 7 if you're on PC because there's a bit of a discrepancy. So it's 6 on consoles because it was
7 years. Yeah, 6 to 7 years old. And if we take the perspective of like outside the world of the game, but that, like video games in general, other MMOs have gone through things where they've had to ignite the world. So you have like Cataclysm in World of Warcraft that basically took all the original zones and said, okay, now we're going to redo them. We're going to, put a big rift through the continent. Everything's going to look a little bit different. Things kind of change, right? Are we coming to a time in Elder Scrolls Online where maybe somebody like Mehrunes Dagon could create enough of a reason to make the world different enough for things to be changed in maybe some of the original zones or Cyrodiil? We've talked about this a little bit, but you would need some sort of world altering thing to happen for some of that to occur. There's also the speculation about Cyrodiil being like described in the past of being like forested, and then now it's not forested.
It went from jungle to not jungle.
Jungle. And, maybe there's some connections to the towers and being able to influence the world around the towers. I mean, there's all sorts of ways that you could do this, but one of them could very well be somebody like Mehrunes Dagon actually getting a foothold in the world, and that leading into like the next year of content and then revising some of the zones. Now, I don't know that they need to do this yet because there's plenty of other space on the continent to have more expansion, DLCs and extra years of content build out in places we haven't been yet. So, of course, but it just makes me wonder, like, are we going to get to that place where all of a sudden they're like, okay, remember Cyrodiil? It doesn't look like that anymore. Everything's on fire.
That would be ambitious. Maybe, what, I'll break the fourth wall and say we achieved Chim on the show. And maybe it's relating to the fact that the game is getting new servers. So it's overhauling the world because they don't have new servers.
Yeah, break the fourth wall. Right. There's that. I don't know, just speculation, because somebody that big, let's say he actually succeeds, like usually in these stories, the good guys tend to prevail. They stop the plot, right? They stop the bad guys. Status quo is
less frequently in Elder Scrolls than you'd think.
Right. But in general, we stop the bad guys in Somerset. We stop the bad guys in Elsewhere. We stop the bad,
we've been very heroic in ESO so far. Things have really gone in our direction way more than it tends to in the rest of the series. Right.
So at what point do we get our Empire Strikes Back moment? Holy crap. We did the best we could on this in the storyline, and the world is not better. Things went like, whoa, what's going to happen next year? Because holy crap, we didn't win this one. I think that it might be time. Like that would be really cool. Thoughts?
I would be all for that. I love misdirection in storytelling. I don't really like knowing what's going to happen before it happens. Which is ironic because I don't really care about spoilers. I don't look for them, but like if somebody spoils it, unless the twist is the only purpose of something, I'm like, oh, well, that's fine. I wish I didn't know that or something, but it doesn't like ruin an experience for me. But I love when something appears one way and then it's like, especially if they do a good job of like breadcrumbing what's happening, which they actually do in this game quite frequently. They'll kind of breadcrumb what's coming, and it's totally obvious when you look back at it, but like going forward, you have no idea what happens. And then if you look back, it's like, oh my God, I missed all these signs. It was basically telling me exactly this thing. So I would love something like that. That would be very cool.
Yeah. What do you think, Kung Fu?
I always love sad stories. So if they could pull a Red Wedding Game of Thrones type of thing, I'd be like, no. And then like inwards, I'm like, yes.
Yes. Because now we have an even bigger thing that we have to defeat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, if they want to get into the nuances of art imitating life, then there needs to be some tragedy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows though? I mean, maybe maybe they're going to take their story cues from the fact that they're getting a new server. I don't know. No. We could be way overthinking this. I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sure in some ways we are, because, we're like, that's part of the fun of speculation, is that you kind of go on these limbs and you're like, oh, maybe this thing will happen. And then of course it's something else. You're never quite right. Because you can't predict everything. But it's kind of fun, it's kind of fun to throw that stuff out there and, play into those hopes, and I'm sure we're going to get something interesting. Like, they're very good at creating interesting content and surprises and interesting characters and turns and twists, and we're going to get all of that. Like, it's going to happen. It's just, like, to what extent, what's really going to come out from this, or even things like what other characters are going to show up in the midst of this. Are we going to come across any other characters that we haven't seen in a while? We could, or other Daedra at play, maybe.
For sure. They do have a lot of recurring characters. scattered throughout. So, to that note, if you haven't played the Orsinium story or Rothgar, which was before they were called Chapters Chapter, it was way back, but it was the first PvE expansion, I believe, if you don't count Craglorn. But that is where Evely Sharparrow is originally from. It's where you first meet her. So if you want to know who we're talking about and understand her storyline, do that expansion specifically. And it'll fill you in on all of that good stuff and why most people really, really like her.
Right. Have you played through that part yet, Kung Fu?
I have not. I'm very nubile in the content that I've played through so far. I basically got to my current level with just grinding dungeons over and over and over again.
Yeah, maybe it's worth playing through that before this happens, and that way you can get a sense of who she is. I didn't spend a whole lot of time paying a whole lot of attention to her. I think I was more focused on the orcs and this, but she's involved with it all, right? Like, it would be interesting to go back and refresh my memory on all of that and the quirks of her personality and those kinds of things before moving into this next section. Yeah. Well, let's see. Anything else? Is there anything else in here that was revealed that you guys have any thoughts on or speculation about? I'm scrolling through some of the things that we've seen.
So one thing that I will say, in terms of people coming from single player Elder Scrolls games, and not the long-standing players of this, or if you're not really feeling the multiplayer aspect to this, they're revamping the champion point system, which is what we referenced earlier with CP. And its revamp seems like it's going to be much less about min-maxing for end game content and much more friendly toward letting you play the game a little more how you want, with some easy flexibility if you want to utilize it for end game stuff. Which I think is not only good for people who like end game stuff like myself, but also people who are coming from the single player Elder Scrolls game. You basically just have all these directions. It's like, I want to get better at fishing. I'm going to put points into being able to fish faster. I want to be, it's so much more open. It looks like it's currently on PTS, so don't know for sure, but it looks like it's so much more open to growth of your character, however you want to play, other than I need to do this in order to complete this. Right. So I think that's going to be a great change for the game and that system.
Lotus, if I can, are you saying that the game might be easing away from forcing people into builds?
Yes. So what it is it would take me an entire show to try to explain just what I know of the system, and I don't even fully understand it yet. But it is going from a maximum of CP 810 currently, hi puppy, to 3,600 points.
It's a huge jump.
It is an enormous jump, Buff. And what it will allow you to do is you gain experience, whatever. And once you hit, once you hit power cap of level 50, then you used to go to get to gear cap of 160 and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, okay, at 300, you've hit your flat bonuses. And this could go on. So I'm not going to bore you with how the end game progression works. The new way of doing it is you will be able to spend points in these different constellations. It's the red, blue, and green, but it's like, instead of calling the warrior and the thief, it's now like a little more blatant, where it's crafting tree, warrior tree, something else tree, athleticism tree, or something like that. And by spending just points on things you like in there, like you want to get better at fishing, once you've spent an allocated amount of points, you're allowed to put like a constellation into something to make you stronger, and you can filter it in and out as you would like. Right. So
it's like swappable slots for different kinds of abilities and things.
Exactly. And that eases up so much on, I need 46 points in tumbling to get this, and I need this to get this bonus. It's much more free-formed, so you can be geared for end game if you want, or that crap cannot matter because it's like, well, no, I just want to be a good fisherman and I can run around really fast and collect flowers better. Like, and it all feeds into itself. And what you do with it seems much, much more friendly to building a character that you want to have built, which I think is great.
Yeah, I like it. I like the CP cap being higher. I still haven't hit max CP on my main because I keep making other characters. Although they once they level up, they push it up too. But once I get them up to like 50, I'm just kind of move on to another character again. But yeah, I think that's fun, and I think that this is obviously, from the way they presented it, they've spent a lot of time really testing out ideas and figuring out how they want to implement this before putting it out. It seems like something they've been working on for quite a while now. So I think that that's cool. I think anything you can do to make character builds more flexible and work to the benefit of the community is obviously a good thing.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. And if it is implemented in the way that we've predicted, that it will, ease off from forcing people into certain builds, I think that could result in a much larger player base just kind of hanging out on the game. Mm-hmm. Because maybe I'm alone when I say this. Maybe I speak for a certain contingency of players when I say this. But for me, when I play ESO, it feels like I always need to be doing something. Whereas if I'm playing Skyrim or Oblivion or Morrowind, I can just kind of hang out. I can just mess around and go do something just because. But it feels like maybe it's because I'm in the workforce now, whereas when I put much of my time into Skyrim and Oblivion, I was a student, right. So time was unlimited.
Hear that.
and now my time is not. But maybe that's it. Maybe it's also because with ESO, it's the competitiveness, it's the atmosphere of, if I'm not getting my character substantially better, what am I doing?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely have that feeling. And I also have the feeling of when I play my character, like my main, I swapped my build months ago. And I talked about this on the show previously, and changed my gear, moved everything around. Then more of the stuff was changed, and not super happy with the way the character build plays at this point. But if I want to jump back into my main character and do more questing again, I feel like I now have this hurdle of like, well, now I've got to swap out my build again, figure out what gear I need, and like do all this stuff rather than just like, I don't know, just playing the game. I feel like sometimes that becomes a barrier. I don't know how this connects to the whole CP change, but I guess I do know how this connects. Like a change in that system where you could easily just swap out things into the different slots doesn't mean that you have to go grind out new gear. You just swap out the things, and all of a sudden you're able to go with a different kind of build on that character, at least in the CP section of it.
Sure.
So that is beneficial, I don't know. I don't know that my problem is solvable so much, but they've done a lot to remedy it with the whole having the whole list of all the gear that you've collected things, so you could easily remake the gear that you've already had. All of that. Oh yeah, that's
oh my god, that system is amazing.
Yeah, so that does solve some of that as well. It's the game has these positives, like you play through the content in a certain order, and characters will remember you. They'll know where you've been from previous things, and then you build this. Basically, you're building this like renown simply through the way that people know you from the previous expansions and things. So to go through, say, like the newest content with a new character and have them not recognize me doesn't feel right. I'm like, no, my main is the one who's supposed to be the hero of everything. This is just my other guy. So I don't know, just some of my own issues with that. It's really just my issue. It's not the game's fault.
Yeah, I mean, I get the whole, the whole hurdle, like, well, now I can play the game. And in fact, it reminds me of the South Park episode, which I don't know if you guys watch South Park. But,
now we play the game after they take the guy down after training. Killing boars.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that was the last thing I was going to bring up, was the whole CP changes. I can't think of anything else specifically. I feel like I'm forgetting something. that they brought up, because there was a lot of different things.
There was a lot in general. And I mean, like some of the more nuanced stuff, it's really not bringing up on I'm trying to get anything that's kind of related to the lore and story of it. Cause it's like, yeah, there's lots of products you can buy and stuff like that. It's like, all right, that doesn't really relate to what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, guys, I think this pretty much does it then. Any last thoughts on any of the stuff coming out? Kung Fu, any last thoughts for you?
Yeah, I will just tell the listeners and the viewers that I'm not a big DLC guy. I don't normally spend money on post-release content, but for this one, I will. So perhaps that should hold some level of weight for people, and granted, I could end up regretting this, saying this and however long. But that's just where I stand at the moment. And I'm going to stick with my bet.
Cool. Lotus.
So I guess, you know what, for the sake of it, I will piggyback on Kangaroo here. If you've been curious to try ESO, this is almost like a weird sales pitch from somebody who doesn't work there, but
yeah, we don't work there. We don't get anything from them.
I don't get anything other than they're very nice to me whenever I talk to them.
I give them lots of my money. That's what I do.
Yeah, they're very helpful when I do charity drives. But no, like for real though, if you like story, if you're worried about the MMO aspect, we had a long discussion in one of the Discords I'm in over with Tales of Tamriel, the Dungeon Crawler Network, where one of the things that this game started as was an MMO. Mm-hmm. This game, I would not say is good to classify as an MMO anymore. It is now a just massively multiplayer game. Yes, there's tons of people. Yes, it's an RPG, but it is not an MMO in the sense of people think MMOs. They're thinking Black Desert Online. They're thinking Final Fantasy. This game is very, very solo player friendly, new player friendly, better now because they keep improving the new player experience. But it's with the companion system, it feels more and more like Skyrim with friends or Oblivion with friends than this weird abstract. It feels like Elder Scrolls, but with some MMO aspects to it. And I am not an MMO player. I wasn't at the start. I actually, the more I hear about other MMOs, when people are like, oh, if you like ESO, did you ever look? And I will look at it. I'm like, that sounds awful.
No, I don't like that. I like this.
Yes. So I like the mesh of it that's here. And you can get base game version and stuff like that for very, very cheap or on a free play event. Give it a try if you're an Elder Scrolls fan. You probably find something you like. And as long as you don't need every expansion. You don't need ESO Plus. You don't need 9 million things. Get a simple base version of the game. Try it out. See if you like it. You can always get more. And you don't have to worry about being just outranked because, all I own is the base game. The base game's like hundreds of hours long worth of quests. You don't need expansions unless you want them. So it definitely seems like with the new companion system and stuff like that, more focus toward, if you like solo player experiences, you can play this like one. It's up to you whether to engage with more than that.
Yeah, I would agree. I never, ever felt pressured from this game once that I needed to buy something extra in order to perform in the game. It was totally up to me. And, they do a good job because the extra content that they add.
Yeah, they make it worth it. But
pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I don't know, just another thing to wrap this up with, as we're kind of, patting each other and ourselves on the back, is just the community at large is just great. Like I see people jumping into our Discord every day saying, hey guys, I'm going to go do this thing. Anyone want to go do it with me? And it's, we don't have the biggest guild in the world, but the people who are playing this game are doing so in a way where it's, it's all for the benefit of everyone else in the game. It's the toxicity. I mean, there's toxicity in every community, but there are lots of people who just want to go on quests with each other. They just want to grind through a dungeon. They just want to someone help them build something in their house or check out this new piece of content that came out together. You know, like it's so refreshing. It's so nice to have that without the
overall sentiment of this game is very positive. Like you just said, there's always negativity. There's always issues.
You're always going to find bad apples everywhere. And
on top of that, like that's the situation. They announced that they had cleared 18 million players have created accounts for this game. There's no way, even if everybody's nice, 18 million people get along with each other. That's just not how life works.
Right.
So you're going to have people butt heads. Some people are just jerks. It's whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, the community to Elder Scrolls Online tends to be much more positive, where it is a very sometimes loud, but it is an extreme minority that are just douchebags. Like,
yes, of the time and they hang out by the way shrine at Volkel Guard.
I was going to say,
so don't go there.
In PvP. Look,
most of them are in PvP. Stuff, like if you're going to find toxicity, they're in PvP, or they're the kinds of people who have such a hard time. And this isn't, I'm not trying to make anybody upset. And if you think I'm talking about you, I'm probably not. There are people who are just inherently toxic because of their life situations, and they're just never in a good mood. And those people have a hard time playing with other people, which means when they're looking to do a dungeon, they don't have people that they can go to and say, hey, you want to go do a dungeon with me? Because they've basically scared off anybody who would have been their friends, right? And so, of course, they decide, okay, well, I'm going to do the dungeon, or I'm going to do the trial, and I'm going to join a random group, or whatever group will happen to let me in. And because they bring a toxic attitude in them, they sour the entire group, and everything, falls apart. And there's lots of psychological reasons why human beings go through these things, and it's unfortunate, and I feel sorry for people like that, but that's what happens. Outside of those situations, most of the populace that plays the game are just really nice, cool people. Like,
and I'm glad.
Oh no, go ahead.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Tom, because like I've noticed in this game, as in others, but more so this game, if someone is a little, jumpy or edgy in a dungeon, maybe just give them some deference. Maybe they're just having a really, really crappy day. Yeah. Maybe that's not them at all. Because if you're playing with a random person, frankly, you don't know them and you don't know what they're like. So you got no baseline to judge them by. And you shouldn't be judging them anyway. Right.
And sometimes people just have bad days, and sometimes people just have really bad lives. And it's most people, and this just goes back to psychology. Most people who end up with like who are carrying that much burden that they lash out on other people around them are actually themselves very wounded. And, and if you can't deal with that in the moment, just leave the group, go find another group, like it's not hard. But if you can, maybe they just need a friend. Maybe they just need someone to be like, hey man, no worries, we'll get through it. Like, I don't know.
And to that last kind of like piggyback on that point is, if you don't like the idea of joining random people, join Robots Radio Discord, join the Dungeon Crawler Net Discord. And
there's plenty of guilds out there who are super cool and would love to have you join
Message
them.
Tom, message me. I'm on the console side of things, but I've also got my PC account now too. Well, if you're interested, we got friendly guilds of people that play all sorts of different content on all sorts of different levels. Just let us know. And I was going to say, we'll find you like-minded people that you can have fun with.
Yep. Well, I think that's a good place to end it. I'm sorry that some of our other patrons didn't get to make it for this discussion. I'm very interested to hear what they have to say about things. Plus, I thought at least Bob Chickens would come and yell at us for not giving Daggerfall Covenant enough of a...
I was going to say, if Bob actually sees this, Ebonheart, baby.
Ebonheart, baby.
Enjoy that.
Ebonheart still wins, Bob. You didn't show up to argue your point, so that's what you get.
I say, Ebonheart for life, buddy.
I tried to wear blue. I tried to represent... Look, I'm sorry, Bob, but I can't solo this one.
So, you have anything cool going on, Kung Fu? Anything you want to share, or ways people can get a hold of you?
Nothing too cool going on, but I did change my Xbox name to Kung Fu Kangaroos. So
nice.
If people want to add me on Xbox, because of the way the Xbox's new name system works, I couldn't make it any longer than 12 characters. I shed a few tears about that, but it's KF Kangaroo, then space between.
There you go.
F and kangaroo. So,
Nice.
Yep. Nice. And so yeah, if you want to play Xbox, add me. If not, if you play PC, I will be building my own gaming PC.
Yes.
As soon as I can get a hold of an NVIDIA GeForce 3060 Ti. As soon as I can do that.
All right. Well, I'll cross my fingers for you, and if I see any on sale, I'll shoot you a note.
Yes.
Everyone else out there, all of the thousands of other people who are listening to this show, if you happen to see one of those, post it on Discord. we'll appreciate it. Awesome, dude. I love PC builds. I love just like finding the right components and looking at all the graphs and like, oh, this one's 2.7% faster than this one, but the cost ratio, like I love all that stuff. And then actually building it together and, you know, booting it up for the first time. Especially when it works the first time when you boot it and you're like, yes, it works. And then installing your games and then you're like, I'm tired, I'm done. And then you come back the next day and you play games. Yeah. Lotus, do you have anything going on?
We'll be, man, if you want a less refined and organized show, we will be recording Tales of Tamriel this Saturday evening.
Arguments of refrigerators.
Yeah, also intense tangents of the halls of refrigeration. But yeah, so we actually planned on doing a bonus episode until we saw the deluge of information that they threw at us on Tuesday. So we have preliminary notes, and for those of you like long form podcasts, Tales tends to, we always joke that the show is either a long or a short 2 hours, meaning it's basically 2 hours or 4 hours. And we have copious pages of notes and lots of opinions. So prepare yourselves for a ride. If you do listen to Tales of Tamriel, we are already concerned about how long the episode length is going to be, because there is a lot to discuss when we get into the nitty-gritty technical bits beyond just the story, into analyzing CP and everything like that.
Yeah, so we get the easy job here. We just talk about like the lore and the story bits and just kind of like, the adventures and the characters.
That's one of the things I love about doing Lorecast with you. It's like refreshingly, like we've got like an hour to work with.
Right.
And it's great to discuss all that. But
it's like history class in an hour. You're going to the other show is like doing math class for 4 hours.
Yes. I was going to say, prepare yourselves for like calcultrig, because it's two of the same things. We're mixing stuff. Like, so yeah, there'll be lots more discussion over there. And that's probably all I'll be up to, at least for the time being, because otherwise I am just completely in mid-year mayhem for the moment, which is the multiplayer event for anybody who is unaware. It started today and goes till February 9th, I think. Something like that,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man.
Can you get event tickets from that, Lotus?
You certainly can. You get 2 from doing a quest in Cyrodiil or Battlegrounds, and you get another one from doing a repeatable quest in the Imperial City. You don't actually have to do PvP to do it. You can actually go to one of the towns and just do like an NPC quest, and that will count for you. So you don't actually need to engage in PvP if you don't want to.
Yeah. So fun stuff. It's a fun event. All right, what am I doing? I'm still streaming during the days when I am editing my podcasts and things. I've got that stuff going on, so come hang out with me during the days if you need a work buddy. I'm always happy to have you guys pop in and chat with you while I'm making content and doing that sort of thing. And immediately after this show, we're going to be going into the Dungeons and Dragons Lorecast, so please stick around for that. We have a Patron episode this week for that as well, and I think that will officially be moving over to Thursdays from Wednesdays. So Thursday nights might be a double header from this point on. So cool stuff. Again, guys, thank you for joining me. Kung Fu Panda is Kung Fu Panda. I called you Kung Fu Panda. What am I doing?
Did it last time. You did it this time.
Oh man, Kung Fu Kangaroo. A panda and a kangaroo are not the same thing.
Switching mammals.
Oh, don't forget, guys. I announced it in the Discord earlier, and I'm absolutely 100% serious about this. If Dogecoin gets to $1, I'm changing my name on every platform to Kung Fu Dojaroo.
Perfect.
Yes. Can I just give you money to invest for me?
I feel like that might be illegal.
Is that illegal?
I'm not complete.
Okay.
You might be onto something there.
All right. Well, I'll have to find another loophole somewhere. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, guys. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for the Dungeons and Dragons Lorecast, and we'll be back next week with another regular episode and checking out some other characters from Elder Scrolls Online who are super cool. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. See ya.
The skies are marked.
That's the wrong sound. There we go.
Crushed it.
Thanks for listening to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. Crushed it. If you have something you'd like to contribute to the show, please reach out to us at elderscrollslorecast@gmail.com or on Twitter @ESO Lorecast. I really appreciate you listening, and I'd love to hear from you soon.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
Do you like adventure?
Yeah.
Do you like laughing?
Yeah.
Would you like to listen to a group of people you don't know play D&D and reference retro pop culture you vaguely remember? Excellent. You're going to love Committee Quest. We play D&D in the world of Amarin. We use adventure modules and supplements made by people in the community. We also have a sweet synthwave backing track. Come and join us on our adventure. Volume 1 has been completed. Volume 2 coming the end of January. You can find us on iTunes, Podbean, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Are you into the cyberpunk tabletop games or excited for Cyberpunk 2077? Are you looking to brush up on the lore, stay up on all the latest news, and talk about the game when it comes out? Check out the Cyberpunk Lorecast, a show from Robots Radio with me, your host, Robots. We'll go over all the details you need to know about the world, characters, and story of Cyberpunk. Available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Once upon a time, 27 years after the bombs fell, there were two people, a vault dweller and a California girl. They met, and sparks flew. That's when things got interesting. Once Upon a Wasteland is their story. Follow Elizabeth Kirby and Odessa Valdez as they pursue their happily ever after in the post-apocalyptic Appalachian wasteland of Fallout 76. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other podcasting platforms. Once Upon a Wasteland, a Fallout 76 love story, available now.